Hi guys, it's Teresa. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an individual book review for a book I just read because it's a 2018 release and I have like a few things to say about it. This is The Dark Days Deceit by Alison Goodman. It's actually the third and final book in the Lady Helen trilogy and I'm so sad that it's over, but I tweeted the author and she gave me hope that it might eventually continue. I guess they always say that, but I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna take it because it's all I can get. I love this series so much and I need more. That's all I can say. The first two books in the series are called The Dark Days Club and The Dark Days Pact, and I read both of these for the first time last year. I believe I actually filmed a review for these two books, so if I can find it, I will link it in the cards and in the description below if you want to check that out. Today though, I'm going to focus on the third book, and that is the wrong way around. The Dark Days Deceit. It literally came out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I pre-ordered it because I needed to have it in my life. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Just as a quick side note, this video will be spoiler free because obviously I want you to enjoy this beauty for yourselves, but at the same time that means that I can't really give you too much information on the plot or anything like that because you definitely have to have obviously read the first two books and I can't just presume that you have, so we're just gonna talk very generally in this video, I guess. To begin with, I have dust in my mouth. What is it? So to begin with, I'm just gonna give you a quick synopsis of the first book. Basically, the book is set in the early 1800s in the Regency era in England, and we follow a young lady called Lady Helen, and she is going to be presented to the Queen for the very first time at the beginning of the book to like start her season, like coming out as a lady in society and that kind of thing. Quite early in the book, she meets a man called Lord Carlson who had been sort of chased out of England and had to go to France because he was accused of murdering his wife, and he comes back pretty much in disgrace. So the two of them meet and eventually he explains to her that she is different from everyone else. I know this sounds like very stereotypical, but basically she has certain powers that allow her to hunt so-called deceivers. They're pretty much demons that inhabit human bodies, and it's her job pretty much to reclaim the souls of those that have been endangered by the demons, if that makes sense. So they start training together and things go from there. First of all, let me say that I know that the premise, like the basic premise of the first book, doesn't sound super original, and that's kind of the only reason why I gave that book 4.5 stars only instead of 5. Math. Not even math, it's just logic. Because I thought like the story has definitely been told before, but in my opinion, this is one of the better versions, like for sure. And even though the first book is a little bit on that been there done that side, the story definitely picks up and finds its rhythm and its own pace by the second book. That one is like my favorite in the entire trilogy. I give that one 5 stars. Again, upon rereading it now, and I really think that if you are finding some issues with the first book, it's very worth it to push through to the second because it is so good. And then we come to The Dark Days Deceit, and in this book obviously things come to a head and the action reaches its climax. And while I did still really enjoy this book, I literally read this like in a day, and it's 500 something pages. That day I read, no joke, 900 pages because I also still had to read like most of the Dark Days Pact. I was in like a trance. I didn't leave my bed at all. That says something. I love this book. I did. I really did. But the reason I loved it doesn't have so much to do with this book in particular and more with the series and the things that have already been set into motion in the other books. The things that kind of autonomously or like individually happen in this particular book, I actually didn't really enjoy that much, but I enjoyed it for the most part because of the overall story, if that makes sense. So anyway, let me like clear that up for you because that makes no sense, I realize. Basically, what I loved about the first two books and also about this one are the characters, because I think they're really well developed. They all have flaws. They're not in any way, shape, or form just like Mary Sue's, and they're also not just names with like the very bare bones of a personality attached to it. I feel like every single character in this book or in the series is really well developed, and I really felt like I knew them, which is always fantastic. I also just really like the setting of this series. It's set in Regency, England, and you can tell how much research Alison Goodman put into her works. There is so much detail, and I loved all of it. The books are also largely set in 3 separate cities, which I think is even better because then you get a much larger picture of like England at the time. The first book is set in London, the second one mainly in Brighton, and then this one mainly in Bath. So I don't know about you guys, but I love settings. I love really good individual, like unique settings, and you can tell that she really likes it too because the amount of detail is stunning. I loved it. One of the bigger things I didn't love about this book though is the magic system. So obviously there's some sort of magical element to reclaiming souls from like demons, right? And powers and things like that. And in this book, it seemed to go kind of completely off the rails. There were things happening in this book that had not been established before, and while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I feel like in this book they weren't established enough in a sense, like they weren't really explained. I wasn't able to like understand the rules of it at all, and it just kind of seemed very like just slapped on or slapped in there like to make it more exciting, but I wasn't the fan. I feel like it deviated too much from what had been set up in the beginning, and I just didn't really follow it a lot of the times. Like, what's happening now? Like, where's this power coming from? What's happening here? Like, it just seemed so all over the place that I really couldn't get into it, unfortunately. Another big thing, I mean, guys, I like to think I'm not somebody who is too focused on the romance in books, but in this series for me one of the biggest components is the romance because I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a very slow burning one and it takes its time, and I love that. Like, this is what I look forward to in books, I swear. I love that a lot. The thing is just that I also want that to come to some sort of fruition, and I don't think this is a spoiler because I feel like you can predict the outcome of the romance. You know, who's gonna actually like not let the people get together that everybody's clearly shipping? Like, you would have to be a very mean author, I think. So anyway, I don't think it's much of a spoiler. Basically, obviously Lord Carlson and Lady Helen end up together, but they have been going through like 3 books worth of trouble and like will they, won't they? There's been so much angst and kind of going back and forth and so much like deliberating, but there wasn't really ever any moments of like them illicitly kissing as much, I guess, anyway. Especially in this book. Like, I don't think they kissed at all until like the last little bit, and I don't know, I just like wanted something to fuel that fire a little more instead of just being like, well, they want to be together but they can't, so that's not fun, I think. I wanted more on that front. And most importantly, if I've been waiting for a romance to happen for 3 whole books, can you please give me more than a single page of them actually being together? Like, is that in any way possible? Like an epilogue or something. Just give me more. I was coming up on the point where it was gonna happen, and it was like, wait, the book ends in 2 pages. Like, how is this gonna happen? And it's literally like the last half page, and I'm sorry, that's not enough. Of course everybody's pining for the moment where the romance like happens, and so after that I feel like, yes, sure, the book might lose some traction or like an important element. I get that. That's why people don't let couples get together in the first book and then they stay together for like 5 books. Like, no one cares to read about that. But I do want my investment of emotions to pay off. And I mean, you could have done it like a chapter, 2 chapters before the end. Like, I don't care, just something, please. It felt so, there was just so much pining and not enough action at the end, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I also largely predicted the ending way before it happened, and while I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's definitely like I don't even know. Disappointing a little bit when you're like, oh well, I think I got it now and I still have to read like 50 or 100 pages of this. Not that I didn't enjoy those pages, it's just that this element of like being on the edge of your seat and stuff like that, it's just gone at that point. And I think the reason why I was able to predict it is because there were so many hints that I didn't need. Like, can we just not? Like, there were so many times in the book where Helen would think about somebody and like, oh, they did that thing was weird. Like, they did a weird thing. I'm like, oh, stop. That's unnecessary. It's just giving away the ending, I feel like. It was a little too much hand-holdy in that sense. But I mean, it's not like a suspense book in itself, so that wasn't the main goal anyway, and it's not that big of a deal. I just thought I'd mention it because I feel like, why? But yeah, overall, you might be surprised after me saying some like negative things. I really love this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was my least favorite in the trilogy by far, not by far, by half a star compared to the first book. I really, like, the main thing is the romance. Like, if that had at least paid off, I feel like I would have been a lot happier about it and felt a lot more fulfilled. Like, I feel like part of the reason that I'm now really craving more of Lady Helen books is because I really enjoyed that feeling of like reading about romance. It's like, so will they, won't they, forbidden love. Like, I love that shit, okay? And I want more of that. I still highly recommend that you read the series. I think it's really well written. I love Alison Goodman as an author. She's literally one of my auto-buy authors now. And if you want me to do a video on auto-buy authors in general, let me know. But I literally have loved every single book I've read by her so far. I feel like she can do no wrong, and this series is so good. I mean, it's so good. And I've had messages from people telling me that I like was the reason they picked up this series and they also really enjoyed, and honestly, that is my favorite thing. Please let me know if you read the series in part because of me, because it will make my heart just so happy. So yeah, I've not had anybody tell me that they didn't like it yet, but maybe they're just too polite. So anyway, check it out if you haven't already. Now you can binge read the entire thing. I had to wait a whole year to finish it. So now you're in a good position to start, and I really recommend you do. Make sure you get matching covers, not like me, because I think, as I've said before on an Instagram story, I think I might actually repurchase this so that it actually matches. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I sincerely hope you guys are gonna end up reading and loving the Dark Days Club series because it's so good. It's so good. It has everything, like intriguing plot, fantastic characters, wonderful setting, like so much world building. What more is there? There's nothing else. It's fantastic. Do it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I upload every Tuesday and Friday, and I will see you very soon with another video. Until then, have a very lovely week, and I will see you very soon. Bye!